This is iFilm, and I'm James Williams here with Shia LaBeouf, the star of Greatest Game Ever Played.
Thank you.
Well, tell our audience a little bit about your character.
Francis, we met, was amazing man. You know, man's man, family man, man with integrity and honor. You know, he came from an immigrant family, right? So in 1913, you know, we were still forming America. You know, and immigrants were coming off, you know, the boats literally by the boatloads, right? So they didn't have a hero, and Francis inadvertently became that hero. He's the first American amateur to ever win the U.S. Open. He was the first to ever do that, and he was the first Jackie Robinson. He was the first Tiger Woods, a person who completely changed a person's view on the sport.
Yeah.
And and this was a class story more than it is a golf movie. Definitely. You know, he had an immigrant father. He grew up across the street from the course that he would go on to win the U.S. Open at. His father hated this rich, you know, pompous crowd because he was fired as he was a gardener at the course that, you know, and they fired him.
Yeah.
And he had 6 kids, no way to support them. And the father-son dynamic with Francis and his father is immense. And that's really the reason Francis even involved himself in the first place. He just needed a facet, and golf was across the street. That's really what it was. If it was a Frisbee park across the street, he would have been the best Frisbee player. I mean, he was going to be the best at whatever was available. Yeah. And so it really was just about fulfilling this need for love from his father. And what wound up happening was the dream that he actually set and achieved, he didn't know what was attached to that. And it blew up, and he became the ambassador of the sport. He became, I mean, of any sport, and you can think about that. I mean, there has never been a bigger influence from an athlete in any sport across the board, from any athlete across the board. Somebody who's come in and completely changed the sport. You got to think about it. It was all private, the game. Yeah. When Francis won the U.S. Open, he made it a public game. They started building municipal courts and making it a public thing, which is what made golf golf. Otherwise, it would just be something rich people knew about, you know?
Exactly.
That's the truth of it.
That's cool, man. And now, obviously, you know, Francis was he's a kid in an adult arena.
Right.
Were you able to draw it all from like your early experiences in the comedy clubs? Being
Absolutely,
a kid?
Absolutely. Slightly different because it was never on the magnitude that Francis was at. He was on a stage with hundreds of thousands of people watching him putt. Think about the magnitude of that. I mean, you know, you miss and it's 100,000 boos. You make it, it's 100,000 hugs. I mean, it's a humongous issue, you know, different than stand-up, you know. But I could draw from that in a sense. I mean, this was my first movie as an actor where I was like a young man in a film, you know, and carried a film, and it was a big deal for me. So I felt that naturally, you know. And it was all adults around me, amazing actors around me. You know, the fact that there was no stars in the movie only helped people fall into the story. Yeah. You know, and that was a choice Paxton made.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of Paxton, you know, of course, he's very well known for his acting.
Absolutely.
Do you have any desire to get behind the camera, behind the scenes at all at some point?
No, I've done that, and I made a short film called Let's Love Hate, and it was at a couple festivals. We won a couple festivals. And, I mean, I did that, and I enjoyed it, but not like I enjoy this, you know. Yeah. Not this necessarily, but for me to watch somebody cry while they're watching a performance is a major thing for me, or watch them laugh while they're watching my performance. You know, it's a big deal. Like we got letters from George Bush Sr. Saying it's his favorite movie he's ever seen in his life. Wow. We got the same response from Bill Clinton.
Wow, that's an honor.
It's bigger than me.
Absolutely.
You know, and when you can do something that just is completely in another realm than you are in, it's the reason you do it. You know, to get responses from people like that saying it's their favorite movie ever.
Yeah. Like,
what?
Can't get much better than that.
Can't get much better than that, you know.
It's a pleasure meeting you.
Pleasure, man.
Take care.
Absolutely.